All right, let's see. What did I do? Oh, that's right. Me and Paige scorched our bodies and throats to death, streaming 17 hours of Deltarune back to back over 2 days.
And you got to the end of chapter 3?
4.
Oh, both of them. Damn. Okay.
Yes.
How long would each one did each one go for?
8.5, and then 8.5.
Oh yeah, the same for all of them, you'd say? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
The only thing we did not do is beat the super boss of chapter 3. We beat the super boss of chapter 4.
How's Deltarune going?
So Toby took a little bit of a longer time to put out these chapters because it's a 2-chapter deal. And a couple things right off the bat. Toby has a team of people now helping him make the Deltarunes. This is insanely clear right away that this is more than a one-man show. The scale and scope and variety of gameplay and narrative tricks going on eclipses the second chapter of Deltarune. Like chapter 3 and 4 are a Undertale to Deltarune jump in complexity.
Okay.
In terms of narrative stuff, the fucking plot starts now. Goofy adventures continue.
Cool.
But like there's some fucking meat on what is occurring.
Okay.
And there's plenty to dig into and piece out and obsess over and dig into the game's files and whatnot.
Okay.
Also, chapter 4 has a sequel to the Snowgrave route if you continue your chapter 2 Snowgrave route, which has now been named the Weird route.
Okay. So wait, 2 things. One,
what is Snowgrave?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Okay. So chapter 1 of Deltarune is horribly linear intentionally. Like it is almost mocking you in its linearity and how you can't make any decisions that matter. In chapter 2 of Deltarune, which is now 5 years old, so I'm going to talk about it a little, there is a genocide route style path you can take through it, which significantly changes the content, the bosses.
Oh, right. Yes.
The characters.
Yeah, I did.
It's been nicknamed Snowgrave.
Okay. Yeah, I did do that. Mm-hmm.
If you continue that Snowgrave file through on to chapter 4, you get to take part in what's called the Weird route, which I guess was always Snowgrave's name internally. And pardon me, I sneezed. It's very divergent from the normal route. It is very different.
So shout outs, by the way, to Toby for putting up that little reminder page, which is like, hey, it's been years since Deltarune's chapter 1 and 2. If you need a quick reminder on how the act and forgiveness system worked and stuff, this is how it works. This is how the action and the characters do stuff. You know, that was really good to just read through and go like, oh yeah, I remember. When you
on top of that, sorry.
No, you just talked about like going through the files earlier, and I'm like, what about if you're on like a Switch version or something like that?
Well, the digging through the files to find hidden dialogue from characters that may or may not technically exist is for the PC players only.
Yeah, okay.
There is even at least one interaction in the game where if you manually edit the game's files to disable its own profanity filter, there is a cutscene available for you to bypass the fact that you tried to bypass the profanity filter.
Fucking Toby, man. Damn. Okay. Did you switch platforms or did you continue your save?
No, we stayed on PC.
Okay.
The Deltarune 3 and 4 is incredible. It's fantastic. It is it hits like a much wider variety of emotional beats than Undertale did. In particular, to those of you who have finished it, there's like a little story that one of the characters tells you about playing a piano that is, it hits really 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 hard. It's the kind of thing where it makes me it makes me sad, because it's one of those very painful like childhood memories, and you look at the writing of it and you're like, nobody can write this unless they know what they're talking
Been
about.
through it. Yeah.
And it makes me like sad for Toby, because like the things were not super great, I guess, because like there's a lot of like real emotion in this.
There's there's certain, sometimes you work certain works that you exudes heavily. Berserk, you feel like Mura went through some shit in order to get that out of him, you know? Yeah.
I mean, I think the all-time most famous for weeaboos is the world's greatest story about how I didn't really get along with my dad, called Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Sure.
I've never in my life seen a story that was so obviously about how the writer did not get along with their dad as a child. Because holy fucking shit, dude.
Okay, so
and was awkward with girls also.
Now this is a weird thing where these different routes existing, you know, obviously makes being divergent as well makes anyone that wants to play and complete things curious. Undertale obviously played with the notion of trying to be a completionist gamer, and each run was part of an overall canon that connects, right?
Yeah, the weird route is doing okay. For how do I talk around this? All right, I know how to talk around it.
Okay.
Woolie, do you remember the ending of chapter 1 of Deltarune?
Yes.
The stinger to the
stinger.
chapter 1 with the bird cage. That idea is expanded on massively in a bunch of really, really, really interesting ways in terms of controls, mechanics, and narrative, in ways that are also different between the two routes.
Okay. I guess all I really am wondering is, it like, do you even go do the run and then jump back in to see what an alternate version might look like? Or is it like, yo,
no, what you do is
do
use
your
save
PC
file
save
1
and then jump over to your Switch or something? And
no,
just do
you
the
use
other...
save file 1 for normal good ass shit, and use save file 3 for goofy weirdo nonsense.
Pick a different slot and call it there. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So what Paige and I are gonna do is I'm gonna scrape every file off this PC, and I'm going to go back and do chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4 again, because one, I missed the chapter 3 super boss, and we continued to chapter 4. We just didn't have time. And also there's some interactions, there's some egg-based secrets, there's some scenes, there's some dialogue choices that we want to have that like pristine fucking perfect, you know, file for going into chapter 5. And also I want to have all them cleared out so I can have a nice clean save file number 3 for Snowgrave and weird shit, and what would probably continue onwards.
So the only other thing I'm wondering there is, there's a way for you to start 3 and 4 without any previous save, and it just lets you do
it just defaults to the normal happy-go-lucky normie Deltarune.
You don't get
route.
to Mass Effect choose anything quickly.
No, you do not.
Through that run. Okay. Cool. That's exciting.
There's a lot going on with it. It is much. So the morning that me and Paige took the baby to the park, and he was playing in the park, and we were sitting around going like, man, what the fuck took Toby so long? Like, it's a Deltarune. It's like a fucking Super Nintendo game. What could, you know? Yeah, I know him and his team are working super hard, but like, well, and then we went home and played it, and we're like, oh, okay.
Are there
this
any
shit looks like it took a while.
Are there any new feelings that arise having played this back to back with Clair Obscur?
No.
Okay.
It's pretty fantastic. And parry skills do not transfer over into bullet hell skills. Oh, I'll say the difficulty gradient of chapter 3 and 4 of Deltarune, despite the fact that they're new games, it's like a new game on Steam and you buy it, blah blah blah, is Deltarune is being built on the assumption that one day it is built for the player that sits down to play chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 over the course of a month. Because we're loading into chapter 3 and 4 of Deltarune, it assumes that you fucking beat Spanton and Jevil fucking last week.
Fresh.
It is a very, very serious upgrade in mechanical difficulty.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I think that like the releasing the game piecemeal according to what you can do as a team and you know such as I'm like that. I support that. That's great. You know, sometimes if it takes you time to get the next piece out, then so be it, right? And in the end, it'll all be one piece. But having these predictable length pieces, you know, as adults certainly for us helps to know. Okay. I'm going to sit down for the next 8 hours, right? I
not
really,
when there's 2 in a row. That was rough. That was brutal.
But I do like this idea. And then we're gonna go into 6 and then into 7, and then we know that'll be the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right.